Good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us today for Baker Forward, our segment, Fire Watch. We have my guest once again, my old buddy Howard Ward. He's my public information officer. Howard, good morning, bud.
Good morning there, Chief. Thanks for having me today.
Where's the fish biting, son?
Well, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't know because I ain't been, you've been working me to death, Chief. I haven't had a chance to go.
Well, we're going to have to change that.
We're going to have to do some spring fishing coming up. You know, the weather's starting to turn, so we're going to have to do some more fishing.
Well, Howard, you know, we'll get started on this segment we're going to do on the elderly. And, you know, I have a burden for the elderly as well as the young kids. But the elderly is something we kind of try to target because of the fatalities and death rates of elderly people. And we want to try to curtail that. And we've done a lot in the city to curtail the fires because we do a lot of public education and fire prevention. But like I say, my burden is with that group, and we want to try to target that. Now, we did a deal with the Council on Aging last week,
sure did.
And it was a pretty good success. I came by for a few minutes, but I had another meeting I had to go to. But tell the viewing audience what we did and how successful it was.
Well, Chief, you know, you're right. One of the things when I came aboard, you said, look, I want to target certain areas, and one of them was the Council on Aging because of Baker being somewhat of a quiet, retired community, and a lot of our citizens are retirees. So we went out and we met with the folks at Council on Aging. You came out, Kathy, our pub ed, came out, and we did a great job with those folks. We had a chance to give them a little treat. We took them on a field trip, Chief.
Really?
Well, we brought a fire truck out, and you know, you look like a bunch of elementary kids. We brought them a fire truck out and said, well, let's go look at the fire truck, and they came out.
You didn't let them drive, did you?
One of them got up in there, and I thought he was going to crank it up.
What?
Yeah, what? But they had a great time. Kathy went over to the truck, showed them all the equipment we had on the truck, and they asked a lot of good questions, and they really showed an interest in the fact that what we do. We must have stayed outside for almost an hour with these folks, and then we brought them back inside, Chief, and we sat down with them, and we started talking to them, but not only about fire safety in the community as they do about their daily business, but personal safety. Right. And I know you and we're going to talk a little bit more about personal safety for the citizens, but as far as the Council on Aging, you know, we do this annually. I think we do it maybe even twice a year. Yeah. It's something we're going to continue with the department because I think it's important that we target these folks and make sure that they stay safe. And I know you brought some other stuff. And
well, I understand y'all gave some smoke detectors out, huh?
Well, you know what? You gave him a Jeopardy question. He looked at the audience and said, if anybody can answer this question, they get a smoke alarm. Right. And I'm going to pose that question to our audience, and not that we can give everybody a smoke detector. Right. But he asked the question. Well, you asked the question, Chief. What was it? I
asked them, I wanted to try to jog their memory a little bit, and I wanted to ask them on a TV show, Andy Griffith, what was the name of Andy Griffith's aunt? And every hand went up. Everybody knew that. So I realized then, hey, I messed up.
We suddenly had a swamp on our smoke detectors, but we did do that. We went in there with your graces, and we went in there and we got everybody a smoke detector. Right. Also, I can touch on this, and we may touch about it later. I know that you might want to tell us the folks that you've applied for a big grant.
Yes, we have. We've applied for a grant to FEMA. It's a Assistance to Firefighters grant on the fire prevention and safety side. And if we're successful, this will be a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know if any other department or city has ever done it, but we want to buy a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector and a fire extinguisher for every home in Baker.
That'd be
So
a
if we
great
can-
thing. Yeah, that's something.
Well, Howard, let's get into some statistics right
yeah,
quick.
let's-
You know, on the elderly, I pulled up. You know how I am about statistics
Yeah,
and stuff.
you
but
living down the
I pulled up some stats, and I want to touch briefly on the death rates for in unintentionally in falls and fire deaths. You know, in the 80 to 84 age group, it's probably about 45 to 39% of those deaths were in the those 84 to 80 to 84 age group. Now it jumps up drastically in the 85 and older groups.
Right.
It's 111% in that age group,
So
which is alarming. So
that is definitely
Yeah.
some
so that's why we want to target the
target
elderly
the
now.
elderly, yeah. But what's
But-
some of the things that they can do, Chief? I mean,
Well, we're going to go on briefly. We want them to, they're space heaters, keep them at least 3 feet away. We preach
that's what
that.
they've said.
We
Yeah,
preach
space heaters,
that,
give them space.
away from anything that can burn. We want them to religiously have their smoke alarms checked and installed properly. That's why when we give them away, we just don't walk away from it. We go in and try to
Right.
install it. First and foremost, we want you folks to understand 911 is the number. I know in Baker we have the city police has a number that people call that's been calling for years, and if you want to call that number, fine. But we preach 911 real heavily. Plan your escape, just like we teach the kids. Plan your escape from your home. Take your time. When you're up in age like I am, I know that if I try to rush and do things on the spur of the moment and quickly, I get distracted and stuff. So we want you to be aware of your surroundings. Exercise regularly to build your strength and improve your balance. Clear the way in your house. You know, any way that you have to escape from a fire, just we want you to be able to get out. See your doctor regularly for your eyes and your stability and your balance. In your bathroom, we want you to make sure that you have mats that are slip-proof and have a bottoms. When you buy those things, make sure that they have a backing on the bottom to keep them slipping.
Yeah.
Throw rugs the same way.
Non-skidding back
Right,
and make
right.
sure that they're not smooth. And they
Shoes, make sure you buy the
Well-
correct shoes for your feet and with non-slip soles. And basically, Howard, that's
Yeah, you know
we
what
can
I
do.
wanted to, I know we're running out of time, Chief. We're going to have to close here. If you have any questions out there, stop by the fire department. We have a little brochure. They can pick this up.
Okay, folks, that's it from us. Stand by, and we'll be back in the next segment. Thank you.
See how fast?
WLFT joins all TV stations in our area, reminding you to rescan your digital TV sets so you can pick up all of the new TV stations, which are broadcast free over the air. Hey, you bought the new high-definition TV, so now enjoy the free over-the-air entertainment like the new Country Channel on 30.3, featuring 24-hour music videos and concerts direct from Nashville. More new channels are planned, so change the batteries in your smoke detector and rescan Baton Rouge.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to this segment of Fire Watch. Today I have on with me for our second segment Captain Mark Adams. I'm sorry. Mark is not only my captain; he wears two hats. He's my medical officer. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Chief.
I want to tell the folks that you come from a long line of firefighters. Your grandpa was a firefighter with me at Baton Rouge Fire Department, George Wells. Your mom, Pam, was a communications officer, and your daddy, John, was my assistant chief till he retired. So.
That's right, Chief. I was practically born in a firehouse.
Yeah, you were. And Mark does a wonderful job, not only as captain, he's one of the most conscientious employees I have. Sometimes he's a little over conscientious, and I have to tighten him up a little bit, but he does a good job, laying all jokes aside. Mark does he does the medical part of our business. He keeps up with the records. He's worked with Dr. Dijon, who is our medical director for the city of Baker. Am I correct, Mark?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I had Mark on today because I want him to talk about some of the new protocols. Every year we have new things coming up for first aid and in the city of Baker and parish-wide. We're fortunate to have EMS that responds with us and does the transport. We don't have to transport. We do just the first response and basic first aid. Mark, you're an EMT. You've been an EMT for, what, 15 years?
Yes, sir, close to 15 years.
And that's good. And you do a wonderful job for me keeping up with records, make sure the reports are done right. So,
Thank you, Chief.
because when we go to court, we want to make sure that, if we go to court, we want to make sure that we have our facts and figures right. And you're critiquing those reports. It means a lot. But let's dig deep into what we're here for. Tell the folks in the viewing audience what new protocols, what we're doing here in Baker, and what you've done for the Baker Fire Department.
Okay, Chief. Well, like you said, I head up the medical portion of the fire department, and there's a huge misconception with the public right now that all we do is sit around the firehouse and wait for fire calls, and that's just not correct. Roughly 90% of every call, or all the calls we run every year, are medical oriented, and so it's extremely important for our guys to stay trained and to keep up to date on everything that's going on. I believe that amateurs train until they get it right, professionals train until they can't get it wrong, and that's the kind of training that I try to instill in all of our guys, and they do a wonderful job day in, day out. I have zero complaints with any of them. This is an outstanding fire department with outstanding men, but I have to stay on top of all the new changes that come out, and there are several changes every year. The minimum standard for the fire department is to be first responder trained, and they have to recertify every 2 years. I do that training for them. They also have to recertify in CPR every 2 years. American Heart Association always has new protocols out every 2 years. They always do. There's always something different. Starting as of June of last year, Emergency Medical Services of East Baton Rouge Parish and also all the fire departments in the area have gone to a new CPR protocol. Generally, what we would do in the past is, when we got to our patient, the first thing we would do to them when we found them to be unresponsive is we would use this, which is a bag valve mask device, and we would give them 2 rescue breaths. And then we would start compressions if they didn't have a pulse. The focus has gotten away from what used to be ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, to now we focus on CAB, compressions, airway, and breathing. The focus now is on compressions. What they found was whenever a person goes in a sudden cardiac arrest, when they take that final breath, the blood is well oxygenated already. And what we were doing was we were actually over-oxygenating the patient using this right off the bat. Right. We were actually doing more harm than good. Mm-hmm. So now what we immediately do is we start chest compressions. And we will put our patients on a non-rebreathing mask. The other end of this hose will be hooked to an oxygen bottle. Mm-hmm. We put them on the mask and we give them high-flow oxygen via the mask. And while this is giving them air, we concentrate on chest compressions along with an automated external defibrillator. For all the persons out there who don't know what an automated external defibrillator is, or an AED, if you've ever seen those little hospital shows or movies where they put pads on somebody and everybody else clear and they shock, that's what our AED is. It's just like it's portable. Right. We bring this out to the field, put the stickers on their chest. It's completely automated. It prompts you for everything. Anybody in the world can use an AED. They're very, very simple. But
right, Mark, and you know you know how I am about, I want the best equipment that we can get for the fire department. And
yes,
we've succeeded in every avenue to get that equipment. In the third segment, we're going to go over some new equipment that we've trying to get in a grant. But you do a wonderful job in what you do in teaching the guys and keeping up with the reports, narratives, and all that stuff. Now, the guys, I know 90% of our calls are first aid calls, and the guys are well trained.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about, I think we've had a couple of saves in the last year.
Yes, sir.
Which means a lot, you know.
Actually, we have, with this new protocol that has come out, it has actually been proven already with our department that it is effective. We have actually had spontaneous pulse and respirations with a talking patient when we got to the hospital. And that is almost unheard of. That is very, very rare. It's not
Right.
unusual for us to get at least a pulse back before we get into a hospital setting,
Right.
or pulse and respirations, but for that patient to be actually talking to us when they were clinically dead when we arrived,
Right.
that's impressive. So
Yeah.
we know that this works. There's
Right.
not a doubt in any of our minds. But we do this new protocol now for the first 8 minutes on scene. And we'll put them on the oxygen. We'll do chest compressions. If the AD needs to shock, we'll let it shock. And
Exactly.
after that 8 minutes, then we go back to the standard CPR where we give the
Right.
rescue breaths with the
Good.
bag valve mask.
Good. Again, Mark, I want to thank you for being on with me, and of course you're going to be back for the third segment, but I thank you for everything you do. I've told you when you started this venture with the protocols, I couldn't pay you, but I send you some places that you'll enjoy going for some training and stuff like that. But keep up what you're doing. Keep being conscientious in your job. I love it when you do that, and keep the guys up on their certifications, which I know you will,
Yes,
and keep them where they need to be medically. And,
It's all about the public that we serve, Chief, and
that's what's at.
and that's where my mind and heart is. It's with our public that we serve.
That's
The
it.
best job we can do for them, that's what I want.
Okay, buddy. Well, again, we'll get deeper in the second segment. So thank you again. So, folks, thank you for being with us.
Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building at Howell Place is conveniently located near the Baton Rouge Airport, offering medical services for all ages, lifestyles, and diagnosis. Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building offers a wide range of physicians to service your needs, from visual changes to upper and lower extremity orthopedic problems, back and neck injuries, and pain management. After consultation with your physician, there is an on-site physical therapy clinic to get you back to work or to your recreational pastime. If mobility is a problem, a home health office is on the premises to accept referrals. This modern medical marketplace has convenient parking and is designed for complete personal and family health care. Greater Baton Rouge Medical Office Building at Howell Place is recognized for high-quality care and wants to be your choice for all of your family's health care needs.
Thank you, folks, for joining us for our third and last segment. We're going to have some new equipment that we're using. Mark's going to demonstrate the AED for you, and it's a new piece of equipment that's come out since the new protocols for CPR. I call it a thumper. It's a cardiac, the CPR machine, but the people that don't have to use it, like myself, that just buy it, it's called a thumper. So, Mark, tell me what you got here, buddy.
All right, Chief. Talked a little while ago about the AED, the
Yeah.
automated external defibrillator. This is the one that we actually carry on our trucks. It's made by Zoll. It's one of the best ones on the market. I told you before, it's self-explanatory. I've already put the pads on my patient here. The pads actually have a diagram on them to where you can see where they need to be placed. After that, you turn the machine on, and this AED will tell you everything you need to do. You can listen to the prompts.
Adult pads give 2 breaths.
It'll tell me to give 2 breaths, which
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
the pads are already on the patient. And then what it's going to do, this machine is going to analyze my patient and see if he has a pulse or not. If it doesn't have a pulse, then it's going to advise
Attach
me
defib pads
to,
to patient's bare chest.
well, the pads are on there, but this is it's not a live person, so it's not going to register it. But what it would do is it would tell me either I have a pulse or I don't have a pulse, and then I can start my CPR.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
But the AD will prompt you through everything that you have to do, and if it does advise a shock, you back away from the patient, and then you just press that orange button, and it's done.
Okay.
Now, this right here is something, the first time I saw this was at a convention last year in Indianapolis, and it is called a well, you call it a thumper. But basically what it is, it's a chest compression machine. And what this is really good for is those departments that have very limited manpower, maybe only 1 or 2 people on a truck. What this will do, this will actually do the chest compressions for us so we can focus on other things. This is also made by Zoll, the same company that makes our AED. Also very simple. Turn the machine on, and then these straps will wrap around the patient's chest. They stick together just like so. Hold the pads up, press the button, and let this come down, and it'll center. And then it's going to do a couple of compressions just to check the patient. But this machine will give a perfect compression every time. What we found with doing manual compressions as human beings, we cannot do compressions without breaking ribs. It's impossible. We can't do it. This will do a compression, a perfect compression every time, because it actually senses the patient's body weight. What that beacon is right there is telling her to give 2 breaths. It already knows to do 30 compressions with 2 rescue breaths. Or if I want to do this continuous all the time, I press one button, and this thing will do compressions continuously. If we've already intubated and got an airway in place, then we can get rescue breaths continuous, and this will do continuous compressions. Also, another neat feature about this machine, if I stop it for any reason, if I've stopped chest compressions, it's going to know it, it's going to sense it. It may not realize what I'm doing, but it's going to beep here in a minute, and it's going to tell me, see, you're not doing chest compressions. If I ignore it and still don't restart the machine, it's going to start beeping continuously until either I restart it or turn it off.
Now, Mark, I know we had some questions about using this machine on a pregnant person or,
Yes, sir.
or a child.
Yes, sir.
It's proven to be safe either way, right?
Actually, it's not proven for pediatrics, for infants, but for children. This is designed for up to 300 pounds or 51 inches across the chest. If the child is big enough, we can still use this. For an infant, it's just not big enough. We can't use this on trauma patients either. Reason being is it does such good compressions, it'll actually cause the patients to bleed out. So if they have an open wound. So, but for anybody else, we can use this machine.
Yeah.
And you talked about the pregnant ladies. Yes, we can even use these on pregnant women. I'm going to show you something here. I've actually got my hand underneath the stomach, and it's not causing me any discomfort. So that goes to show you that it's not hurting anything, but it's giving a perfect compression every time. So I just pull my hand free.
Well, Mark, this is proven to be an effective machine, and it's really going to add to our medical field here in the parish.
Yes, sir.
I know that as far as manpower-wise, it's going to save us, especially if we out on a major accident where we have to free up manpower to do other things. We can start this machine, if I'm correct, leave one person with it, start the machine, and do a perfect CPR.
That's correct.
Thing. So we're looking forward to getting these machines. Like I say, EMS has them right now. And EMS responds to all medical emergencies with us, and they have them on their units. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Right. And we have them available. We're in the process of trying to get some grant money to buy some now. But is there any more you have to add to this, Mark, or that's basically?
No, so the machine's it's very simple to use,
Yeah.
and like you said, it can free up one rescuer so that we can be doing other things, whether we
Right.
have to cut them out of a vehicle or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's really great for
Yeah.
departments with limited manpower, such as small departments
Right.
like Baker, Brownsfield, so on and
Right.
so forth.
Well, folks, I know that I've talked to Mark, and we're going to get Mark back on and do a whole show on first aid, CPR, and so forth. Mark, we appreciate you being here and bringing this machine and showing us how it works, and we look forward to getting some of these on our trucks and training our guys. And again, I appreciate what you do,
Thanks,
and
sir.
keep up the good work. And Kathy, thank you for assisting us. And Mark, we want to keep up our first aid equipment and everything. If there's anything out there that you see that's new that we can use, let me know, and we'll we'll sell Coke bottle caps or tin cans to buy it if we have to, but we're going to get it. We're going to have the best equipment that I can possibly get. That's my commitment, and always has been and always will be. Thanks again for what you do, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Chief.
Folks, we ask you to stay tuned and watch the show when it airs. I appreciate you watching Firewatch.